champions really a no-nonsense approach to design. He insists on relevant functionality, readability for all Heuer innovations. Jack Heuer's Carrera, introduced in 1963, is still an icon of Tag Heuer, and it demonstrates those codes and those principles perfectly. The first chronograph with a modern, clean design, not overcrowded. And as you know, or as you may not know, Jack Heuer is a self-described legibility freak. Those are his words, not mine. So today, Carrera in the world of Tag Heuer is the fastest growing series within the lineup. And a tremendous amount of that success in North America and the world has its origins in the very first Carrera that Jack Heuer introduced in 1963. So Jack Heuer is such a product man that he holds at least 8 recognized and documented world's first technical innovations in Swiss watchmaking industry. So along the way, this product guy, this product man, he helped Ferrari Formula One team with the all-important issue of timing. And as part of the partnership to use Heuer technology in the timing, Ferrari put the now famous Heuer logo on the front of their car. And after that, millions and millions of toy replicas around the world still sport that Heuer logo. So Jack's love of sports inspired him to invent many timing solutions. And this connection to sports and Heuer timepieces really made Heuer a racing accessory must-have. And that connection was further solidified when the brand Heuer became the first non-automotive sponsor in Formula One by appointing the now legendary Swiss Formula One champ Joe Seifert as a brand ambassador. Subsequent to that, all Ferrari drivers were Heuer ambassadors. And Formula One was really the perfect medium for Heuer. The sport was huge in all developed countries, and they were already using Heuer timing equipment, so the fit was perfect. But the reason behind that, the reason I'm sharing that with you, is Jack also invented our ambassador program. So today we still have ambassadors, and it all started with Jack assigning Joe Seifert to be his first ambassador. And that also led to another very, very important development, and that was the unpaid product endorsement by Steve McQueen. So Steve McQueen was so enthralled with the monocle and so enthralled with Joe Seifert that he wore it in the movie Le Mans. So Jack, when he was in the United States, recognized the power of Hollywood. And he was so enamored with it that he went far beyond Steve McQueen. So if you just start to list off Charlton Heston, Jack Lemmon, Paul Newman, Burt Reynolds, all of them wore Tag Heuers. And Bo Derek also only wore a Heuer. This, of course, was the genesis of the future of sports and glamour. So today we really work very hard to make that fusion. And Jack invented it. So he created an environment for us to bridge the gap between functionality and glamour. The use of today's ambassadors, Leo DiCaprio, Cameron Diaz, and Maria Sharapova, are really just a continuation of what Jack started. All that to say, not bad for a product guy. So today, Jack serves as our honorary chairman at Tag Heuer. He's also an active member of the Tag Heuer New Product Committee, and he still insists on functionality, legibility, and making sure that he ensures our product line is in line with our proud past. So I want to quote Jean-Christophe Babin, our worldwide CEO, because I think he summed it up best. And he said, Jack Heuer built our roots, and he connects our past and our future, knowing what we stand for and where we're going. And it's an important role, and he plays it very well. You can't buy experience. It takes time. You need to suffer, learn, listen, and observe. So with that, Jack, thank you very much for showing us the way, and thank you very much for keeping us on track. Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Heuer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's very kind of what you said, but in reality sometimes it's a little bit different. Anyhow, I'm going to tell you about the creation of the Carrera. It is quite unusual that watches have a name other than the brand. But this has been a family tradition which my grandfather started. He called his first 100th of a second stopwatch, which was the world's first micrograph, and then he made a split, he called it microsplit. Then he created the first dashboard chronograph, he called it time of trip. This was always on the dial. And my father, and especially my father, not his brother, but my father was the creative part in the company. My uncle was the good salesman. My father continued to invent, find names and said, that would be a good name for a watch. And then he would deposit the name and create the product around it. Like Otavia, he invented time of trip, he invented seafarer, Mariograph, etc. So I had been brought up in this environment of thinking of a name for a watch. That's the, is this all right here, the micro like this? Yeah. So, we're now talking about the Carrera. Where did I pick up that name? I had the name before I had the watch. And while I was in New York, in those years I spent in New York, I worked quite actively with the Sports Club of America. It was a very good client. The people the members of the club were very good clients for our dashboard stopwatches. And I had lent them 5 or 10 pocket chronographs to do the timing in the Sebring 12-hour race. And so they invited me down to Sebring. For those who don't know, Sebring is a little bit west of Palm Beach, and is an old military airport, airport, yes, and which is now a racetrack. And they would have a 12-hour race there. And the public was quite mixed, especially the drivers. There were both gentleman drivers and professional drivers. So when I was down there, for instance, there was Mario Andretti, there was Joe Siffert, there was Jochen Rindt as professional drivers, race drivers. But there were also some gentleman drivers like Georgie Pabst from the brewery, or Paul Newman, typically. So the public was quite interesting, and that's on that moment I decided that this half professional, half gentleman driver mixture was a very good target public for our specialty watches. So since I was invited there, I went to the Ferrari pit. And Ferrari had put at the disposal of 2 young drivers a complete factory race car with all the mechanics and the tires and the spare parts and everything needed. And those 2 boys were Pedro and Ricardo Rodriguez from Mexico. And you'll see afterwards some shootings, some original film that has never been shown so far of the Carrera de Panamericana, which was a race which started in the south of Mexico and went through the regular roads right up to the north on an average speed around 200 kilometers per hour, or about 160 miles per hour, and which was the most difficult race and most dangerous race in the world. In the 5 years that they ran the Carrera Panamericana, there were 35 people killed, either the drivers or the spectators. So they had to stop the race. And I was in the pit with the parents of this, Pedro and Ricardo Rodriguez. One of these boys was 19 and the other boy was 21. And waiting while they were driving during these 12 hours, I talked to the mother and father. They had accompanied their young boys. And they said to me, you know, we're so happy that our boys are so young, because otherwise they would have driven in the Carrera de Panamericana and they would have killed themselves. But faith goes sometimes strange ways. One of the boys killed himself the same year in a car accident in a race, and the other brother killed himself 3-4 years later in another race. So that's the tragic part of this Carrera. But then I went home and loved that name, because Carrera is, first of all, a sexy name. It's understood in all the languages. You feel something with that name, and it means career, it means road, it means race, it means a lot of things. And so I came home and said, I'll make a watch with that name. And then I sat down and decided, now, how shall I do this watch? So in the fall of, this happened all in 1962, that's exactly 51 years ago. And in the fall, I sat down and decided I'd let a watch be done with all the things I had learned at university, because I had mastered in production and management. And you have to realize that in those years, nothing was digital, everything was analog. And if you misread a dial in a power station, an electrical power station, this could create havoc, right? It could be very dangerous. So I had several lessons, or how do you call them in English, the conferences by professors on legibility of dials, which I never forgot, and I applied it to the rules on the Carrera dials. And I'm very finicky about that, and still today I'm a pain in the whatever you call it. When they make dials on legibility, I'm really like Ulrich said, I'm a legibility freak for chronographs. Anyhow, I was in the same years, those were the early 60s, I was also at university befriended with a lot of architects, and we all were in a mood of renewal, because after World War II it took about 10 years or 15 years till everybody woke up and said, let's do it differently, let's innovate. And I was a big admirer of Saarinen, the Finnish designer. Went up to Helsinki to see his buildings. I went to Brasilia to see the buildings of Niemeyer. I loved Corbusier furniture, and I loved Charles Eames. I had a lounge chair, so I was in that mind. And so I said, I will make a dial which has nothing on the dial except a few bars, and a technical innovation helped me to put the 1/5 of a second in the bezel ring. Now it's not good seen on this model, the wrong model. This is the model of the latest model. This is my 80th anniversary chronograph. And this is the newest 50-year anniversary chronograph. Show somewhere the original Carrera. No, sorry. Anyhow. Sorry? Yeah, you see this dial to the right has nothing, no 1/5 of a second is in that turning in that tension ring of the glass. So that made a very clean look. And we therefore came out with this Carrera with a big success in the market, because it was not crumbled like during the war years. The chronographs were very used by artillery officers who had a telemeter, spiral, and things like that. So here I sat down and applied all these design codes and created a watch that really was quite successful. So it lasted until the chronograph market died in 1979. There were no more chronographs, only electronic ones, where you could measure hundreds and everything you wanted. And then it started about 10 years later, they started to come on the market again, and therefore they relaunched the Carrera 1963 model in 1996, right? So that's the first time a Carrera relaunch happened. And then when 40 years were over, that's 1963, 2003, I participated in making the first relaunch of a Carrera, and it was a big success. It was a limited edition of 3,000 pieces. They just went like this and are today collector's items. And then I decided I was going to stop as an honorary chairman of the company, and as a goodbye present I wanted to make my last model, which I made last year, which was the 80-year anniversary watch for myself. It was a Carrera, of course. And now this year they said, come along, we're celebrating 50 years Carrera, and help us with that. And so I participated in the watch I'm wearing here, which is a very innovative way of making a Carrera. Nice. You see the push buttons are on the top. It has my signature on the back, and this is my input there. As you have heard, I've been a product man all my life. That's the thing I love most. I made many products, both in my watchmaking career, in my later career. But here I stand, a few weeks or months before I'm going to retire, and I'm really, if I'm honest to myself, I'm really a bit proud to have contributed to a product that has lasted 50 years. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Jack Heuer. And we're going to show a short video.